All right, we're back, and picking up in this video, we're going to start talking about ad sets. So the ad set is really about where you're going to set your targeting and all that kind of stuff. Now, hold on, I got to go back to objective and pick a normal objective here. Your ad set will look a little bit different based on some of these, but really my goal here is to go over the basics of the ad set. So you can see it changes a little bit based on your objective, because based on your objective, there may be more information that you need in here. But at the very core level of an ad set, here's what you're looking at. You have a name, of course, where you can determine this is where you name it exactly what you want. So you saw, like with mine, where I showed you before at the ad set, and I had a bunch of different ad sets running, and they were all named different things. I name my ad set generally by like the name of the audience and the age group and the country that it's in. So again, we'll talk more about that when we actually start running ads. So with your audience, you have the ability to create a new one, and you can save your audiences. So generally, when you're starting out, you'll be creating a new audience. Custom audiences, we talked about this. This is where you can enter your own custom audiences. So whether you brought an email list in, or whether you're building an audience from website traffic, or if you are building a lookalike audience, like these are all where you can put your audience in right here. So you see I have some audiences from website traffic and different things. So that's where I could specifically just put one of my audiences that I created in and let that be in there. Locations, this is obviously where you choose the location your ad will be shown to. It will default to the country that your ad account is in. And then there's a couple different options here. So you can do everyone in this location, which is generally what most people select. You could switch that to people who live in this location if you only want people who are actually living in the country. Then there's these options that may fit for certain things, people recently or people traveling. You can set this to any country that you want to. You can include certain cities within a country, you can exclude places within a country, or you can just specifically come in here and type in by whatever you want, postcode, country, state, city, address. Like, you can get as specific as you want. So I could be in here and I could target the whole state of Pennsylvania if I wanted to. I could take that a step further and I could exclude certain cities within Pennsylvania if I wanted to, so that it'll show to everybody except who lives in Pittsburgh. I can change the radius of where I don't want it to show. Or on the opposite end, I could target just a city like Pittsburgh. Okay, and then again, I can change the radius to however many people I want to target within that area. So obviously that's great for local type businesses. You can get even as specific as an address. So if I have a business located at 5401 McGrath Boulevard in Rockville, Maryland, I can set that up, and then I can set the radius to however far I want to target within that area. So if I'm like a local business, and I want to promote an offer, I could set it to 15 miles. If I'm a service-based business and I go all the way out, I could do it to 50 plus miles, and I could service that whole location, and I could deliver ads to those people. So there's a lot of options with location. Location is a really great way to adjust your targeting, because it can help you narrow in, it can help you be more specific, and that's always a good thing. And then again, you can target as many countries as you want. Generally, I would always separate, like when I'm doing an ad set, I generally always keep the ad sets kind of structured to one purpose. So like if I wanted to run an ad to 3 locations, I would create 3 ad sets, and I would only include 1 location in this ad set. That way you can determine the success of each location individually. All right. So anyway, let's just keep this set to the United States for now. All right, age is, of course, something that you can use based on whatever your target audience may be. You can go all the way down to 13, but you cannot sell things like that. Obviously, selling something under 18 really has to be for a very good purpose. Number one, because people under 18 generally are not going to have the money to spend on Facebook, that purchase power. I a lot of times start my ads at 21 because even people 21 and under don't really have a lot of purchase power. And even if they do have money from jobs they're working, a lot of times they're spending that on stuff like school or, right within their daily lives, not online. Now, I'm not saying it can't work, but I'm just saying you want to consider age in those types of things. Like, who's your age group? Who's really buying? And you can set your age up. You can set the gender however you want. Language, of course, I usually keep this blank, but if you do want to put a specific language in there, you can. Detailed targeting is where we get into the magic of everything really with Facebook. This is where you select your audience, and you can see, as we talked about earlier, demographics, interests, or behaviors are basically the ways that you can target people on Facebook. So you can just come in here to browse and get an idea of all the different things that are available to you. If you come into demographics, you'll see all the demographics you can target by, from education to what's their education level, financial, their income or net worth, generation. Like, you can get really specific. A lot of people don't realize that you can target by this kind of stuff on Facebook, but you can. You can target people all the way down to the type of home that they have. All right. And then life events. This is another great one for some businesses. You can get people by anniversary. I have somebody right now I'm working with who a great target for them is newly engaged people. And so they can come in here and they can select all the newly engaged and add them to their audience. And it will give you a size of the audience over here on the side. Parents, politics, relationship. Again, these are all just things that you can target by, and not all the demographics are going to include really large, because Facebook, so just because there's a demographic doesn't mean Facebook knows every single person's demographic. It knows the best about what it can. Some people give Facebook more information than others. So your audience might not necessarily include every single person in the US that fits that category. It's Facebook's audience of who fits that category. All right. So that's important. Job titles is something that can be really important. Industries, like if you're in B2B. So there's a lot of stuff there in demographics. And then it actually even gives you their own explanation of how you're reaching them based on what. And you can click learn more to learn more on all of these. Behaviors is, like we talked about before, you can target people by a lot of different types of behaviors. It's really, really cool. Whether or not they just had an anniversary, what type of car they own, what type of spending, their company size. So here you can target people by the type of company size they have, the industry they're in, their seniority in a company. That, like, these are just crazy things that you can do. Charitable donations. This will show you consumer classification. Oh, okay. So that's kind of a random one, but might have some use for some people. Digital activities. This will show you some good stuff like what do they do when they're online? Are they gamers? Do they make payments to Facebook a lot? Are they Facebook page admins? What type of internet browser are they using? This is stuff that gets really specific. A primary email domain. You just target Gmail users. Like, this is really good stuff. Down here you saw small business owners, technology, early adopters, late adopters. So there's really some cool things. Now, this is all stuff that, you have to be thinking creatively about your business right now, because I don't know what might work for you or not. Expats, financial. You can see how they spend money. All right, how many lines of credit do they have? And again, this is based on Facebook's best information, but this can be very useful in certain ways of advertising. Job role, media. What type of mobile device do they use? Here's purchase behavior. I talked about this before. Do they make business purchases? What type of buyer are they? Coupon users, gadget enthusiasts. Like, these are great ways to target some of these because of the buying profile Facebook's been able to build. Clothing. in each category. And then even engaged shoppers right here is just its own category of people that, where'd that go? Where were we at? Not financial. Purchase behavior. Engaged shoppers. So this is people who have clicked on the call to action button, shop now, in the past week. I mean, that's crazy, right? Look how large that audience is. 273 million that Facebook is tracking worldwide. I mean, these are worldwide numbers you're seeing, like total Facebook audience here. So, but that will, like, and if you select one, like if I select engaged shoppers, based on what I have here, United States, and the age group, gender, I have selected all these limitations or filters, I mean, that I may have selected up here. Facebook will tell you how large that potential audience size is. So it's saying that within the last week within the United States from ages 21 to 65 plus, both genders, there's 52 million people who have clicked the Shop Now button, or estimated 52 million people. All right, so that's a powerful thing to be able to use. Because it gives you an idea. Now, not you got to test different things. Not everything is necessarily going to work, but these are all just ideas of what you can do. Residential profiles, recent home buyer, likely to move, seasonal and events, and then even travel based on the type of traveler that they are. So really, really powerful stuff that you can look into for behaviors. And then finally, interest. There's way too many interests to go through all of these, but interest is these are the big categories, but interests have to do with all the pages on Facebook. So if you come in here and type in something like cat, you're going to see it'll give you over here, whether it's an interest or behavior or employer, but employers like into the other category. But this is really cool because, so you can see these are the people that are interested in the broad level of cats. Right, here's behaviors for people who buy cat products. Like it tells you what it is. Purchase behavior, pet products for cat owners. Those types of things. And then, if you keep typing in, you'll start finding that there's more targeted, more precise, smaller interests. Cats 101, cats protection, love cats, kitty cats. So that's how you come in here and you can kind of figure out all the different ways that Facebook lets you target. Now, I will talk about this more in the future as a strategy of targeting and how we can use this. But basically right now, I just want you to know that there are a few different ways that you can target, and you can just come in here and straight up go for demographics, interest, or behaviors that you find. More categories down here. These are basically two other categories. Axiom is where it sometimes buys a lot of data, like B2B data, decision makers, small business decision makers, and then company based on employees or sales size. These are things that you can look at as well in the more categories. But there's some things you can do when it comes to targeting that are kind of cool. So number one, like with what we just looked at, you can stack interests, which is where you find like a bunch of precise interests. Like say you want to find people that are really passionate about cats. You could come in here and find the more precise interest about cats, because the smaller the interest, the more precise it is, right? Cat lovers. So this is much more precise than this. A lot of times that'll be denoted with lowercase letters, as opposed to like cats with a capital letter, 246 million people. That's huge. That's really, really large to try to start out. If you're starting out with a brand new ad or a brand new something that you want to run. Cats love cats right here is probably a lot better because it's 396,000 people. It's more targeted, something Facebook can really, really use. So you can start coming in here and stacking precise interest. Now I know I have 360,000 people, ages 21 to 65, both men and women that live in the United States and are passionate about cats. Okay, and so, I could do that. Now, there's another thing where you can actually narrow an audience. This is called layering. It's where you start putting some interest in here, and then you try to narrow it in even further. And you can see Facebook gives a cool diagram of what that means. It means that you have a current audience, which I selected up here, the cats, cat lovers and love cats. And then I give it new criteria, and Facebook only takes the people that match both and creates a new audience out of that. That is a much more targeted option. So something I could do here is I could narrow that in by cat products as a purchase behavior. So if I have an e-commerce store and I'm selling cat products, now I just took cat interests up here, and I could add a lot more. You can stack as many in here as you want. As you start to get a few, Facebook will start to come up with some really relevant suggestions, and I'll just go right down the list and start finding some of these great suggestions and fill them all in here. Okay, and you can stack as many interests as you want. And then if I come down here and I layer it with this interest or this purchase behavior, now I have, look at the difference. There's 1.4 million people up here that like cats, okay? That could be a good audience. But say I just want to make sure it's even more of a narrowed in audience. Well, I come in here and I layer it with a purchase behavior, so I know now I have people who are passionate about cats and also have a purchase behavior of cat products. All right, that is a much more defined, much more precise audience to be able to start running an ad for a cat product to, right? So you can do things like that to layer ads, and you can layer as far as you want to. So, one thing that I've done with like business owners, for example, let me give you an example of another way you can do this is like if you look at the small business owner behavior, it's 39 million people, or in the United States, ages 21 to 65 plus, it comes out to 7.6 million people. It's a pretty large audience. So you can narrow that by some other things. Like say you wanted to narrow it by just people who are CEOs or founders, then you could put that job title in there. Look at how far it narrows it down to 16,000 people. Now that could or could not be a good audience based on what you're trying to run. That's a very small audience, but it's also a very precise, very targeted audience. So we're going to talk about targeting more when we get to it. Right now I'm just kind of showing you the lay of how some of this works. You can also exclude people. So you can come in here. Now let's go back to our cats example because it's a really binary example. We could come in here and find cat lovers. Let's just look at the massive interest. All right, 39 million people in the US that say their hobbies and activities have to do with cats. We could exclude people now and just exclude dogs. So take out that massive interest of dogs as well. Look, it drops down to 12 million people. So now how much more precise are we? Because when we were just doing the hobby activities of cats, it said we had 39 million people. But we just want people, say for our product, we just want people that like cats. It has nothing to do with people that also like dogs. So we want to get the most narrowed in interest. So we remove everybody that also has a hobby and activity that has to do with dogs. And now we know our new audience is only cats, no dogs in there, okay? Another thing that's a new addition to the targeting is this here, expand interest. I don't use this, okay? And I haven't really seen anybody say that they use this with success because what that will do is, like, say you come in here and you find a really precise audience. Stray cats. Say you have some type of thing that you want to run that has to do with stray cats, okay? 110,000 people. Not a very large audience when you're looking at the entire United States. If you click expand interest, now 208 million people, right? So what does that mean? Well, listen, I think that Facebook has the best intentions when they create stuff like this. They're trying to make the platform better. But really what they just said is that they're now going to go out and they're automatically going to expand your interest if there's a chance to reach more people who they think are likely to engage. All right, so they're almost removing all the targeting that you've done here, because now they say they have an audience of 208 million people. How is that even possible? Well, basically they're including a potential reach of the entire United States at this point. So I don't usually use this. You can test it. I'm not saying don't test it, but don't do it just alone. If I were to do that, I would create an ad set for stray cats just as it is, and then you could create a separate ad set to expand the interest and see what works better, because it says it will only do it when it's the same cost, really. Like if you click learn more here, it'll tell you that it's only going to do it, your targeting expansion, if it is going to get you cheaper results, right? More or cheaper. Like, so basically it's saying it's not going to spend more money to do that, but it is, because it's not targeted. So you're going to be going out there and it might work, but it's going to be garbage clicks. It's not going to be people who really care. So I would stay away from that in the beginning, and you can test it if you want once you've had some success with normal targeting. Connections, I don't really use this, but you can do connections like people who have already used an app or responded to an event, people who like your page, friends of people who like your page, or you can exclude people who like your page. So obviously these have different uses. Like if you were going to add a connection of people who like your page, then you would have to select your page, and it would only target people who like that page. If you wanted to exclude that, then you would be able to so that way you're not targeting. Like if you were running a campaign to get likes, you could exclude people who like your page. So again, this is not something I ever really use. I just wanted to do it. And then at the bottom here, you can save an audience and name it. If you've gone through a lot of time and a lot of effort to create an audience that you're probably going to use again, then you can give it a name and you can save it. And then whenever you come back here in the future, you have the ability to choose a saved audience and just load it right up without having to redo everything. Because sometimes coming through all these interests can be time consuming. Okay, moving into the next part of your ad set is called the placement. So this is where you set the audience, define who you want to see your ads, all right? And then the placement is how where you show your ads to people. Okay, now I always edit placements every single time, and you should as well, all right? Because what Facebook is going to do automatically, I don't know why they say this is recommended. Trust me, it's not recommended by anybody. I don't know why they do that. Probably because it helps them make more money, all right? You want to edit placements, because when you come in here, you're going to see it has all these things selected. All right, number one, audience network is garbage traffic, okay, 98% of the time. I'm not saying there's not an exception to the rule where this may work. Like you can see, it probably works better with mobile apps and mobile games. So if that's what you're doing, if you have a game or an app that you're promoting, then your audience network may be something worth testing. Otherwise, basically garbage traffic. It's going to give you a lot more people, millions more people generally. I've tested it. I've seen companies who have spent thousands of dollars of wasted money on clicks to the audience network because they didn't realize what was happening. So you don't want to use this. And if you do use it, test it by itself. All right, one thing, remember, you can have as many ad sets as you want per campaign. So you can come in here and create a different ad set for different placements. Like, you never want to run all of these together in the same thing. Absolutely never, okay? And I'm telling you that because I know for a fact. Because what happens is Facebook will automatically start to favor one over the other. It's going to start to go and favor where the cheapest clicks are, and it's going to show your ad to the cheapest clicks. It's going to start to optimize for the cheapest clicks. So if you are running a Facebook placement, and you can see these expand. So if you're running an ad, a campaign, and you are running it to Facebook, Instagram, and audience network all at the same time, it's going to start to show it more to the audience network and the Instagram, and you're not going to get as much Facebook traffic, meaning you're not going to get as good as results. All right. Instagram can give you great results. I'm not saying it can't, but test it on its own. Separate Instagram, Facebook, and audience network at the ad set level so you can see actual results for each one without getting them all mixed up. You're not going to be able to understand your data if you're running them together. You want to run them separate so you can know. Like I would come up here and I would make, if I had different ones, I'd have my Facebook, and then I'd create a new ad set and I'd call it my Instagram, and then I'd create a new ad set and I'd call it my audience network. And I will show you how to duplicate ad sets and create multiple ad sets in the future under one campaign. But in the start here, what you want to understand is that we're going to be deselecting Instagram and deselecting the audience network. You're going to see your audience size change, and it's going to give you these stupid little notifications over here. Suggested videos, these are things that, again, I don't use. Instant articles, I generally stick to the Facebook newsfeed. That's the largest, that's the most active, that's the highest converting type of ad you can run, okay? These other things may work, but like the instant articles, it shows you where the placement is. The instant articles are served on the side. In-stream videos, these are like you don't even see these very often. These are like when it'll place the in-stream video underneath other videos. Or suggested videos. So like you don't even really, if you're running a video campaign, again, you can test these on their own, but I would never start with those. And same thing with the right column. Right column is more for retargeting. Like right column is not where you want to start your ads at because it gets a very low click-through rate. So those are the different types of placements you have available to you. Now, depending on the objective that you choose, those placements might look a little bit different. Okay, like for example, if you choose a video views objective, well, they're the same. Let's see, does it change at all with conversions? No, so your placements are generally the same. With Instagram, like with conversions, you get a little bit more options. Like for sponsored network, you're ineligible for in-stream views on like conversion ads, but it varies, of course, and you're not eligible for audience. Oh, you are. But either way, like I'm not usually ever using any of these. If I will always start with just the Facebook feed, and then I'll go back and test. Now, the other type of placement you have is device. You can target either desktop only or mobile only. Now, I'll tell you straight out the gate that mobile is going to get you most of your traffic. Okay, mobile through testing and experience and through other tests from other companies. Like it's just a well-known fact that mobile is going to be probably with most businesses, especially e-commerce. It's going to be 90% of what people are using when they're on Facebook most of the time. But there's an idea now of multi-touch marketing. So, generally when I start a campaign, I'll start at all devices and, I'll just get down so that it's only the news feed that it's showing on all devices. And then you can test both. And then in the future, you can split them out to desktop and mobile and see which one works better. You can even use this as a strategy to start on mobile and retarget on desktop. There's a lot of different things there that you can do when it comes to your placements. But again, we'll talk about this more in the future. So that is editing placements. And again, this is something that you want to do. You want to make sure, don't forget to, I've seen it before, I've done it before, where people forget to edit their placements and they run an ad and then they get these crazy results and they're looking at them and they're like, what's going on here? And you check it and you realize that you never edited the placements to get it down to just what you want. And so, it's something that you just need to remember to do. Finally, looking into the ad set, the last part of it is the budget and schedule. This is where you have options to set either a daily budget or a lifetime budget. I generally stick with daily budgets. A lifetime budget can work. Some people, they think it, like a lifetime budget, if you have an ad that you already know is working and you just kind of want to put it on autopilot and let Facebook figure it out for you, then you can set, you could set a monthly budget and then set how much you want to spend in that month. So say you set it to $1,000. Well, what Facebook is going to do is in this budget time here, this schedule that you set, it's going to evenly distribute that $1,000 for the times and the days that it believes you're going to get the most conversions. So a lifetime budget can be very useful when you want to run long-term campaigns. And you just want to kind of set it and forget it with something that you already know is working. When you're testing stuff, you're going to be doing a daily budget. A lot of times I tell people you're going to start at a $5 to $10 daily budget, which allows people to get into Facebook at a low budget, not testing a lot. $5 daily budget, that's $150 a month in testing, assuming no returns, and that you'll be able to, gradually break yourself into Facebook marketing. but you can set your daily budget for as much as you want to. So run my ad continuously is what I'll do when I have a daily budget. If you have a lifetime, you'll set a start and end date, and then you can optimize your ad delivery for whatever you want. Now, this is based on the objective. So my objective is conversions. That's what I'm optimizing my ad based on. If I had a engagement ad, then my optimization is for post engagement. All right. You have other options here. You can optimize for impressions or daily reach, but generally you want to stick to optimizing for whatever it is your overall objective is. That's the whole point. So you're always technically getting charged by impressions no matter what. There's no reason to optimize for impressions, in my opinion, because you're always getting charged for impressions anyway. And you'll see that when we start looking more into the actual running of the ads. But Facebook is always charging you by per 1,000 impressions. Every ad has a per 1,000 impressions value assigned to it. So, you're technically always getting charged per impressions, and you want to keep your optimization set for whatever the marketing objective is. And you'll see that it does that generally automatically based on your objective. So again, I'm just giving you the full walkthrough so you understand, but you do have the options to change it up if you want to, but I'm saying I would not. All right. And then you can see here when you get charged. You generally always get charged for impressions anyway. So even if you set even if you set it on an engagement ad, you're still getting charged per impressions, but it's optimizing your ad delivery for the objective. So I hope that makes sense, because it is important to understand if you just want to understand how the Facebook platform works. See, you got to watch that kind of stuff. Like, they automatically set things up that you don't want it to be the way that they have set up, right? So every time you come through and create an ad, you got to make sure you watch for that kind of stuff. All right, so optimization for ad delivery, you're still getting charged for impressions, okay? But it's optimizing for conversions. So that, again, just an important distinction to understand, that Facebook is charging you based on how many people are seeing your ad, but it's optimizing based on the objective that you are trying to achieve. All right. Generally, with every one of your objectives, that's all you'll have to choose is the bid, your daily budget, and then you'll leave the rest the same. But when it comes to conversion ads, you have a conversion window you can select. So this basically means, just as they describe here, how long it typically takes for someone to complete the conversion after clicking or viewing your ad. And they do that to optimize delivery. So for example, if you're an e-commerce product and you're trying to drive front-end sales to a t-shirt, that's a 1-day conversion window, because it's not supposed to take them any amount of time to think about it. The ideal conversion is what you're setting for here. So the ideal conversion is 1 day. They're supposed to see the ad and buy the product, right? Now, if you're selling a marketing service that is $3,000 a month, or, whatever, just an example, you're selling a $3,000 a month marketing service, and you know that people view the ad, and then they request a demo, and then there's a couple of days of consultation, and then they close. Well, now you know it's a 7-day conversion window, all right? Because you know the ideal conversion is not going to be 1 day, and you want Facebook to know that, so it's not trying to find 1-day conversions. It knows it takes 7 days to convert a customer. So that's type of stuff that you tell Facebook based on what you're trying to do to make sure it understands. And then delivery type you keep standard and all that stuff. Now you'll see the bid amount here. You have the option between automatic and manual. We're going to talk about manual bidding in the future, but when you are starting out and you're starting to test, you always are going to do automatic. All right, you only switch to a manual bid when you already know something is working, in my opinion. All right, or you're really experienced. So you're going to start out with automatic, let Facebook set the bid, and it does very well at smaller budgets, okay? If your daily budget is $20 and under, $50 and under, generally I guess anywhere up to $100 and under is what I would say, automatic budgets work best. Facebook is going to set the bid amount. Remember, we talked about the auction process and how it works. Well, part of that is what you're willing to pay for whatever the objective is. All right, so your bid amount here is how much a lead is worth to you based on the audience you select. All right. So if you go to manual, Facebook will show you what it thinks the suggested bid is, but that's really, really high. Like you don't want to mess with this unless you understand what you're doing already. So for the most part, we're going to leave it to automatic. And then I have a manual bidding video that I will show you in the future. And then Facebook's going to go out and set the bid to get that traffic. Now, don't get scared by seeing these high numbers, because that's not what each thing is going to equal. As you can see with as you can see here, my cost per result, like on this view content ad, is $1.72. All right, so that's on an auto bid. So Facebook's going out there and it knows, and it'll find the best price for you. You only move the manual bid when you start dealing with really high daily budgets, and you want to be able to control exactly what you're willing to spend on whatever type of conversion you're trying to achieve. Okay, so that's everything really when it comes to your ad set level. That was a really comprehensive look at everything that goes into creating an ad set, the options available to you. The last thing to talk about over here is just that Facebook will show you your estimated daily results based on your overall audience size, your placements, your daily budget. It'll show you. So if I change this to 200, my conversions will go up a lot higher, as opposed to if I take this down to $5, where it shows you based on what you're bidding. So it's something to keep in mind. Like it's helpful to see, and it bases that off the data you're giving. And for each one, again, conversions based on the type of objective you're choosing, your ad set may change a little bit, because your ad set is formed around your objective, right? So like in here, you can always still do automatic or manual bid, but your estimated results are a lot higher because it's a lot easier to get likes, comments, and shares, right? So that's some stuff that will just look a little bit different based on the type of ad set or the objective you have. But hopefully that was a really helpful for you if you're new to this, and understanding what the ad set level is, what it's capable of, how your options are for audience placements, your budget and schedule, and really giving you a good look at what we're going to be doing in the future. So this was kind of introductory, just to familiarize you with the platform, how it works, the options available to you, how we best use it with the experience I have to let you know what works and what doesn't in the ad set. And then in the future, we're going to actually be creating and talking much more in depth about targeting and making sure you understand exactly how to use it for your business specifically to create ad sets that are going to get you great results. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we're going to look at the last stage of this, is creating the Facebook ad, and talk about what different types of options you have there, and again go over the platform available to you, and then wrap up the intro to the ads manager section. Thanks for watching.